A billionaire father made himself homeless, destroyed his own empire, showed up at his children's doors, with nothing, to see who would help him when he had nothing left to give. 4 of his 5 children slammed the door in his face. But the 5th one, the one he'd ignored her whole life, she did something that would change everything. Comment below right now, would you help your parent if they lost everything? His name was Victor Kane, 60 years old. Built a business empire worth $12 billion. 5 children. All adults now. All successful. Or so he thought. Victor sat in his penthouse office. Floor-to-ceiling windows. City lights below. The world at his feet. But something was wrong. His lawyer, James, sat across from him looking uncomfortable. What do you mean they're stealing from me? James slid a folder across the desk. Your 4 oldest children. They've been embezzling from your companies for 3 years. Marcus, your oldest, has taken $47 million. Vanessa, $32 million. The twins, Derek and Danielle, $21 million each. Victor stared at the numbers. His own children. What about Lily? My youngest. James shook his head. She hasn't touched anything. In fact, she's the only one who doesn't even have access to your accounts. You never gave her any. Victor felt something twist in his chest. Lily. 23 years old. The daughter he'd barely noticed. The one who reminded him too much of her mother, his first wife who died when Lily was 2. The one he'd pushed aside while building his empire and raising his other 4 children with his second wife. I want to test them, Victor said quietly. Test them how? I want to see who they really are. When I have nothing. When I can't give them money or power or connections. What are you proposing? Victor leaned forward. I'm going to disappear. Make it look like I lost everything. Show up at each of their doors, as a broken man. And see who helps me. James stared at him. That's extreme. They're stealing millions from me. I need to know if any of them actually love me. Or if they just love my money. And if they all fail? Victor's jaw tightened. Then I'll know the truth. And I'll act accordingly. Comment below, type do it, if you think this test is necessary. It took Victor 2 weeks to set everything up. He worked with James in secret. Transferred all his assets to offshore accounts under fake names. Filed fake bankruptcy papers. Leaked stories to the press. The headlines exploded. Billionaire Victor Kane loses empire in bad investments. Kane Industries declares bankruptcy. From billions to broke, the fall of Victor Kane. His phone started buzzing immediately. Calls. Texts. Emails. All 4 of his oldest children. But not one asking if he was okay. Marcus, his oldest son. Dad, is this true? What about my trust fund? Vanessa, his oldest daughter. Father, I need to know if my credit cards will still work. Derek, one of the twins. This is humiliating. How could you let this happen? Danielle, the other twin. People are asking me about this. It's embarrassing. Not one said, are you all right? Not one said, what can I do to help? Victor waited for a message from Lily. But nothing came. Of course not. She barely knew him. He'd missed her graduations. Her birthdays. Her life. Why would she care now? Victor looked in the mirror. He'd stopped shaving. Messed up his hair. Wore old, torn clothes. He looked broken. Homeless. Exactly what he needed to look like. Are you sure about this? James asked. Victor nodded. It's time to see who my children really are. And he walked out of his penthouse. For the last time. Comment below, who do you think will help him? Drop a number 1 to 5. Victor stood outside Marcus's mansion. His oldest son. 35 years old. CEO of one of Victor's former companies. Or at least, he was supposed to be. Turns out Marcus had been using company money for his gambling addiction. Victor knocked on the door. Marcus opened it. Expensive suit. Rolex watch. He froze when he saw Victor. Dad? What are you doing here? I need help, son. I lost everything. I don't have anywhere to go. Marcus's face changed. From shock to disgust. You can't be serious. I just need a place to stay. A few days. Until I figure things out. Marcus looked behind him. Back into his house. His wife appeared. Designer dress. Cold eyes. Is that your father? Yeah. Well, he can't stay here. We're hosting a dinner party tonight. Important people. Marcus turned back to Victor. Look, Dad, this isn't a good time. You smell. And honestly, after what you did, losing all that money, I can't be associated with you right now. Marcus, I'm your father. You were my father when you were a billionaire. Now you're just a burden. Go to a shelter or something. And he closed the door. Right in Victor's face. Victor stood there. His firstborn son. The boy he'd taught to ride a bike. To throw a baseball. Just shut the door on him. Comment below, type disgusted, if Marcus makes you sick. Victor drove to Vanessa's penthouse apartment. His oldest daughter. 32 years old. He'd paid for her Ivy League education. Her wedding. Her lifestyle. She'd stolen $32 million from him. He knocked. Vanessa opened the door. Face mask on. Glass of wine in hand. Daddy. Finally. Someone called him that. Vanessa, sweetheart. I need help. She looked him up and down. Oh my God. The news stories are true? You're actually broke. Yes. And I have nowhere to go. Can I stay with you? Just for a little while. Vanessa bit her lip. Daddy. I would. I really would. But my boyfriend is moving in next week and we need the space. And honestly, you look kind of scary right now. What would my friends think? Your friends? Vanessa, I'm your father. I know and I love you, but you always taught us to be practical, right? And practically speaking, having a homeless father living with me isn't good for my image. I can pay you back. When I get back on my feet. With what money? Dad, you're broke. You can't help me anymore. So I don't see why I should help you. She started closing the door. Vanessa, please. I'm sorry, Daddy. I really am. But you're on your own now. Slam. 2 down. 2 children who took his money. But wouldn't give him a bed. Comment below, has your family ever turned their back on you? Derek lived 20 minutes away. Victor showed up. Knocked. Derek opened the door with his phone to his ear. Saw Victor. His face went white. He covered the phone. Dad, you can't be here. I'm on a business call. People can't see you like this. It'll ruin my reputation. Derek, I'm your father. You're an embarrassment. Leave. Now. Slam. Danielle lived in a gated community. Security almost didn't let Victor in. He finally reached her door. She answered in yoga clothes. Looking perfect. Oh. It's you. Danielle, please. I need. Let me stop you right there. I saw Marcus's post. He said you showed up begging. I won't make the same mistake. We have a reputation to maintain. I raised you. You gave us money. That's not the same thing. And now you don't have money. So, bye. Slam. 4 children. 4 doors slammed in his face. For people he'd given everything to. And not one would give him anything back. Comment below, type broken heart if this is breaking your heart. Victor sat in his car outside the last address. A small apartment building. Not fancy. Not expensive. This was where Lily lived. His youngest daughter. 23. The one he'd barely spoken to in years. He almost didn't knock. What was the point? If his other children, the ones he'd raised, loved, provided for, rejected him, why would Lily help? The daughter he'd ignored. The one who got nothing from him but his last name. But he had nowhere else to go. He walked up 3 flights of stairs. Stood outside apartment 3C. Knocked softly. Footsteps. The door opened. And there she was. Lily. She looked so much like her mother it hurt. Same dark hair. Same gentle eyes. Same soft smile. That smile faded when she saw him. Mr. Kane. Mr. Kane. Not Dad. Not father. Just Mr. Kane. Lily. I need help. She stared at him, taking in his appearance. The torn clothes. The desperation. I heard about the bankruptcy. It's all over the news. I have nowhere to go. Your siblings, they won't help me. I'm not surprised. Her voice was calm, not angry, just factual. Why should I help you? Victor had no answer. You've never been there for me. You missed my mom's funeral, you were on a business trip. You missed my high school graduation, my college graduation, every birthday, every moment that mattered. I know. I have no excuse. I was building an empire. I know. Everyone knows. You built an empire and forgot you had a daughter. Tears ran down Victor's face. You're right. I was a terrible father to you. The worst. And you owe me nothing. But I'm asking anyway. Because I have nowhere else to go. Lily looked at him for a long moment. Then she opened the door wider. Come in. Victor couldn't move. Why? Lily's eyes filled with tears. Because my mom taught me something before she died. She said, people aren't defined by their worst moments. They're defined by whether they try to be better. You're standing here, humble, broken, asking. That's more than you've ever done before. So come in. You can stay on the couch. But we're going to have some conversations. Victor walked into the tiny apartment. And he broke down crying. Comment below, type Lily, if she's the real hero of this story. The apartment was tiny. 1 bedroom. Small kitchen. Living room barely big enough for a couch. But it was clean. Warm. Filled with books and plants. I work at a hospital, Lily said, making tea. I'm a nurse. Night shifts mostly. So you'll be alone a lot. I don't deserve this kindness. No, you don't. But I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it because it's who I want to be. She handed him a cup of tea. Rules. You clean up after yourself. You look for work. You contribute. And she took a breath. You tell me the truth. About what? About everything. Why you ignored me. Why you chose building your empire over being my father. Why you never loved me. Victor set down his tea. I did love you. I do love you. Then why? Because you look like her. Your mother. And when she died, I couldn't look at you without seeing her. Without feeling the pain. So I avoided you. I threw myself into work. Into my other children from my second marriage. And I told myself you were fine. That you didn't need me. Lily wiped tears from her eyes. I needed you every single day. I know. And I failed you. Completely. They sat there. Father and daughter. Strangers bound by blood. Can I ask you something? Victor said. What? Why did you become a nurse? Lily smiled sadly. Because when Mom was dying, the nurses were there. They held her hand. They made her comfortable. They showed up when you didn't. And I wanted to be like them. Someone who shows up. Victor felt like he'd been stabbed. Everything she said was true. And he couldn't take any of it back. Comment below, what would you say to a parent who abandoned you? Days turned into weeks. Victor lived on Lily's couch. She went to work. He cleaned the apartment. Cooked meals. Tried to be useful. They started having breakfast together before her night shifts. Talking. Really talking. She told him about her life. Her struggles. Her dreams. He listened. For the first time, he actually listened. One morning she asked, what was my mom like? Before she got sick. Victor smiled. First real smile in weeks. She was sunshine. She laughed at everything. She saw the good in people. Even me. Tell me more. And he did. For 3 hours, he told her stories about her mother. Things he'd never told anyone. And Lily cried. And laughed. And finally knew her mom through his words. Victor started volunteering at a soup kitchen. Serving food to homeless people. People just like he was pretending to be. And something changed inside him. He saw people who'd lost everything. Not by choice. But by circumstances. People who were kind. Grateful. Human. And he realized, he'd looked down on people like this his whole life. Saw them as failures. But they weren't failures. They were just people. Who needed help. One night, Lily came home from work exhausted. Found Victor making dinner. Rough shift, he asked. 3 patients coded. 1 didn't make it. A kid. 7 years old. She broke down crying. And Victor did something he'd never done before. He held her. Let her cry. Didn't try to fix it. Just was there. I'm proud of you, he whispered. Lily looked up at him. What? I'm proud of you. For being a nurse. For helping people. For being everything I never was. She hugged him tighter. And for the first time in 23 years, she felt like she had a father. Comment below, type finally, if you've been waiting for this moment. Victor had been gone for 8 weeks. His other 4 children thought he'd disappeared. Gone to a shelter. Left the country. Maybe died. They didn't care. They were too busy fighting over his bankrupt estate. James, Victor's lawyer, called with updates. Marcus hired a lawyer to contest the bankruptcy. He wants access to any remaining assets. Vanessa is selling the story to tabloids. Making herself look like a victim. The twins are claiming you owe them money for emotional damages. Victor listened to all of it while washing dishes in Lily's kitchen. And Lily, he asked. She hasn't asked for anything. Hasn't even contacted my office. Victor smiled. The only child who deserved everything, wanted nothing. It's time, Victor said. Time for what? To end the test. I know everything I need to know. What are you going to do? Victor looked around Lily's tiny apartment. The place where he'd been shown more love in 8 weeks than he'd felt in 60 years. I'm going to make things right. That night, Victor sat down with Lily. I need to tell you something. Okay. I'm not actually broke. Lily stared at him. What? The bankruptcy. The fall. All of it was fake. A test. To see which of my children actually loved me. You lied. Yes. To everyone. To see their true colors. Lily stood up. Anger flashing in her eyes. So you used me? This was all just a game. No. Lily, no. You're the only one who passed. The only one who showed me kindness when I had nothing to offer. I helped you because it was the right thing to do. Not because I wanted to pass a test. I know. And that's exactly why you're different from them. They wanted my money. You wanted nothing. You just helped. Lily paced the apartment. What happens now? Victor pulled out his phone. Showed her his real bank account. $12 billion. Now I make a decision about what to do with all of this. Comment below, what should Victor do? Who deserves the money? Victor called a family meeting. At his penthouse. The one he'd secretly kept. All 5 children were summoned. Marcus, Vanessa, Derek, and Danielle showed up immediately. Money was involved. Of course they came. Lily was the last to arrive. She walked in and froze. The penthouse. The luxury. The empire that never actually fell. Her 4 siblings stared at her. What is SHE doing here? Marcus sneered. She's my daughter, Victor said firmly. She belongs here more than any of you. They all sat down. Victor stood at the head of the table, looking at his 5 children. For who'd betrayed him? One who'd saved him. Pause, moment of truth. I'm sure you're all wondering why you're here. To discuss your estate, Vanessa said. Since you've clearly recovered somehow. Victor smiled coldly. Oh, I never fell. The bankruptcy? Fake. The broken man who showed up at your doors? An act. All of it was a test. Marcus shot to his feet. You were testing us? Yes. And you all failed. Spectacularly. Derek slammed his hand on the table. This is insane. You can't judge us for. For what? For refusing to help your own father when he had nothing? For caring more about your image than my well-being? Vanessa's face went red. We have reputations. Careers. We couldn't be associated with. With someone poor? Someone broken? Someone who couldn't give you anything. Victor looked at each of them. I raised you. Gave you everything. Money. Education. Opportunities. And when I showed up with nothing, you slammed doors in my face. But there's more. He nodded to James, who pulled out files. I also know you've all been stealing from me. 4 years. Embezzling from my companies. Marcus, 47 million. Vanessa, 32 million. Derek and Danielle, 21 million each. The room exploded. Denials. Accusations. Chaos. Enough. Victor roared. I have proof. Evidence. Transactions. All of it. Enough to send each of you to prison for 10 years minimum. Marcus went pale. You wouldn't. Oh, I would. Unless. Unless what? Victor looked at Lily. She sat quietly, watching, processing everything. Unless you agree to my terms. You return every penny you stole. You forfeit any claim to my estate. And you leave. Now. Forever. Danielle started crying. You're disowning us? You disowned yourselves when you closed those doors. Comment below, type deserved if they got what they earned. One by one, they signed the papers. Agreeing to return the money. Agreeing to leave. Marcus was last. He looked at Victor with pure hatred. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is how I raised you. Giving you everything made you appreciate nothing. Marcus looked at Lily. Congratulations. You won. Hope Daddy's money was worth pretending to care. Lily stood up. Calm but fierce. I didn't pretend. I helped him because it was right. Something you wouldn't understand. Marcus scoffed and walked out. The others followed. Victor and Lily stood alone in the penthouse. The empire he'd built. The family he'd lost. I destroyed my family, Victor said quietly. No, Lily said. You revealed who they always were. There's a difference. Maybe. But I created them. I taught them that money was everything. That success mattered more than people. This is my fault. Lily walked to the window, looking out at the city her father once ruled. You know what I learned as a nurse? People don't change because you force them to. They change because they want to. Your other children? They didn't want to change. They wanted your money. And you? You wanted nothing from me. Why? She turned to face him. Because I already had everything I needed. A job I love. A life with purpose. Friends who actually care about me. Your money couldn't buy any of that. So what do I do now? Victor asked. I have $12 billion and no one to leave it to except you. And I know you don't want it. Lily smiled. Then don't leave it to me. Use it. For what? For good. For people who actually need it. Build hospitals. Fund nursing programs. Help people who are actually broke, not pretending like you were. Victor looked at his daughter. Really looked at her. And he saw someone he'd never seen before. Not his little girl. But a woman. Strong. Wise. Good. Everything he'd never been. Comment below, is Lily the wisest person in this whole story? 3 days later. Victor called Lily to his office. James was there. With a stack of papers. What's this? Lily asked. Sit down, Victor said. She sat. And now? Now I'm building something different. A legacy. Based on actually helping people. Not controlling them. Lily squeezed his hand. Mom would be proud of you. Victor's eyes filled with tears. You think so? I know so. She always believed people could change. Even when I didn't. I have something to tell you, Lily said. What? I applied to medical school. I got in. I'm going to be a doctor. Victor's face lit up. Lily. That's incredible. And I'm using some of the money from the properties to fund a clinic. For people who can't afford healthcare. Your mother wanted to be a doctor, Victor said quietly. But she got pregnant with you and life happened. I know. That's why I'm doing it. For her. And for everyone she would have helped. Victor pulled her into a hug. I'm so proud of you. So incredibly proud. And he meant it. Not because of money or status or success. But because she was good. Really, truly good. And that was worth more than any empire. Comment below, type legacy, if this is what matters most.